Hi loves, in this video we're going to be talking about limiting beliefs, how to identify what those are, and how to move past them and create new beliefs that empower you and help you achieve your goals. So it's kind of a long process, so we created a worksheet and we're just going to walk you through it with you. So the first question is, what rules have I created in my life that could be limiting my ability to reach my goal of creating an income from my passion? So some examples of what limiting beliefs might be could be, I have to work on my business full-time in order to create the income that I want. Or I have to be formally educated as a photographer and go to college or go take classes in order to create a photography business.
And these are rules. So this first question revolves around rules. And rules are the kind of sort of stringent guidelines that we consciously or subconsciously have individually that literally rule our life. So there's sort of the bumpers on the bowling alley, if you would imagine, where the ball goes back and forth. The rules that we have for our life are kind of like that. And sometimes they're empowering us, but sometimes they're not empowering us because those rules are actually holding us back.
Right. Another example might be that people aren't willing to pay X for photography. And these rules are things that sometimes aren't necessarily true and have come into our mindset just based on previous experiences, and we've kind of created these things that may or may not be true. So kind of think about it and write down what rules that you might have in your mindset right now that might be holding you back. Number 2, what pessimistic thoughts reoccur in my head every time I think about pursuing this goal? So I still fight with this every day. It's a journey. But examples would be, my town is too small to have a successful photography business that brings in my ideal income. Or this is never going to work for me. Or this is one I hear a lot, there are way too many photographers, my market is oversaturated, there's not enough clients for me to make as much money as I want to from my photography business.
This one revolves around the idea of pessimistic thoughts is sort of the key of this question. And pessimistic thoughts they're just those thoughts that pop into your mind, or almost kind of a way of thinking, exactly like we're illustrating here. Like if you just consciously or subconsciously, you always fall back onto, well, I kind of live in a small town, so I'm probably never going to be able to do this boudoir thing.
So negative thoughts.
Yeah, so that would be examples of pessimistic thoughts.
And negative thoughts never get you anywhere. So you need to have positive thoughts. Number 3, what cliches, quotes, aphorisms, or stereotypical beliefs do I entertain in my head that could be limiting me?
So these are those catchy little sayings that often come from our friends, our family, the people that are closest to us, and we kind of just pick up on them, and then we sort of adopt them into our language. And oftentimes they're not true, and oftentimes if your thoughts dictate your life, just having these sort of be a pervasive idea in your mind of something that you think about, or that you're like, oh, and you automatically throw out this little quote or this little aphorism. These are things that can hold you back. So some examples, I'm just going to go with the first one because it's the one that I give everybody shit about, which is money doesn't grow on trees. And every time somebody tells me that, I go, actually, money is made out of paper, amongst other things, but money's made out of paper. Paper comes from trees. So technically money does grow on trees. So that's not actually true.
Grows from trees.
Grows from trees,
Yeah, there you
on
go.
trees.
Money doesn't buy happiness. The early bird gets the worm.
Ooh, that's the other one I get.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And good things come to those who wait. There's lots more, but those are just some examples of like stereotypical beliefs, like just society, people around you say all the time. And the problem is when you say them, your subconscious kind of like takes those beliefs on, and you don't even realize that they're affecting your mindset.
Yep.
What was the one that you...
Oh, that's the other one that drives me crazy. The early bird gets the worm, because I'm not necessarily a morning person. I am a night-ish person, which means I will stay up until 1 or 2 and I'll work, and then I'll sleep until 7 or 8, and it's about hours of the day for me. So people will be like, well, why do you get up so late? Early bird gets the worm. And then I just say, hey, you know what? The second mouse gets the cheese. And if it takes you a second to get that, think about it. The second mouse gets the cheese.
So this question is about identifying some of those cliches, quotes, aphorisms, and stereotypical beliefs that you might not even know are affecting your mindset, and just kind of identifying them so that you can kind of not let them be in your thoughts. Number 4 is, what self-defeating meanings have I created based on my past failures that are limiting me? So examples could be, I'm not good enough, I'm not business-minded, it didn't work last time, why is it going to work now? Everything needs to be perfect, or it's not going to work, my clients aren't going to like my work if it's not perfect, it's not going to sell if it's not perfect. You can put your own ending on that. But basically, we're going to talk about failures in the other videos. So failures are actually not a bad thing. We're going to talk about it more, but a failure is a time that you can grow and learn and get better. So, but in this question, what meanings have you created based on things that you didn't think went very well before? So if you didn't sell as many images as you wanted to in your last sales session, like, what beliefs or meanings did you create from there that aren't positive?
Basically everybody, as a human being, we always create a meaning around a story, and we create stories around the events in our life. That's just kind of how the human brain works. So we always are going to create a meaning, and oftentimes whenever the results are not what we wanted them to be for whatever we were doing, and we didn't get the result that we wanted, then we associate a meaning with it. And it's so easy to have a meaning associated with something where you didn't achieve what you hoped or wanted to achieve. That can be negative. Yeah. And oftentimes the reality is, and you and I kind of struggle about this because we have different points of view on it, is that a failure is just one step closer. In my mind, a failure is just one step closer to figuring out. It's a learning process. So I just had the good fortune to be born into a family that really thinks that way. And so I was kind of brought up that way, like there's really no such thing as failure. It's just everything is a learning experience. But you associate a meaning. In my case, I'm associating a meaning of, okay, I didn't get where I wanted to go. What can I learn from it? But everybody associates meanings because that's the way the human brain works. You're going to associate a meaning, so you have to be very specific about the meanings that you're associating and making sure that they're positive.
Yeah, and I would say, like, for example, I know a lot of photographers don't like in-person sales, or they don't feel like they're very good at selling. So if you've had that experience where you didn't sell as much as you wanted to or needed to, it's not necessarily because, like, one of the self-defeating meanings that you could have adopted from that is, I'm not good at sales. I'm not good at in-person sales. But that's not necessarily what that meaning is. I mean, you gave it that meaning, but that's not necessarily the case. It could just be that maybe you didn't listen to what your clients are actually wanting and didn't do a good job of listening, and so therefore the pictures that you gave them weren't actually what they wanted. Or it could have different meanings, and they're not necessarily bad. It's just you need to look at them as opportunities to grow and to learn and to improve, and not necessarily put a negative meaning on those times when you didn't get the result that you were looking for. So write down some self-defeating meanings that you might have created for yourself based on things that didn't go right. That way that you can identify them, because the first step to having a better mindset is identifying the negative things in your mindset so that you can change them. Let's see. Number 5 is, what beliefs did I adopt from my childhood and past experiences that may or may not be true? This is a really, really big one, because a lot of our beliefs and our belief systems come from our childhood and how our parents talked, how our parents thought, and things that our parents said when we were younger that we don't even realize that we kind of adopted subconsciously into our mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah, what your parents believed and what your parents did. So the actions that you saw them taking and the things that your parents said,
Mm-hmm.
or if not your parents, the people that were the most influential on you while you're growing up. So it can be older brother, sister, just brother and sister, aunts, uncles, like just the people that were super close to you that you were
Teachers.
spending the most time with. Teachers is a great one.
Yeah.
Their thinking can just sort of carry over. So yeah, in this one we're
Mhm.
basically just going to be thinking about what beliefs did you maybe just automatically carry over from childhood that you've never stopped and really thought about. I kind of say this all of the time, but do I actually believe this? I know my parents believed it, or I know my sister, my brother, or my teacher believed it, but do I actually believe this? Is this really what's happening in my life? Is it true, or is it just something that somebody said because it was true for them?
Yeah, I would say like a couple examples would be money's always tight, or I can't afford to do X. And if you really start to look at what your beliefs are, or when those things come up and you realize, oh wait, that's something that my parents said. I can afford that. Why do I tell myself I can't afford that? It's actually just a choice. If you choose to afford something, then you can choose to afford something. Another one is being poor is righteous. This is something that I kind of grew up with, and something that was, an influence in my life was that my mom believed that being poor is righteous. And I wouldn't say I necessarily struggle with it, but it's definitely something that I know was something that was said in my household. I never have enough time. This is common for, I feel like, everybody. I'm so busy, never have enough time.
Which drives me insane.
Yeah.
Because we have some of the busiest lives that you could potentially have. The number of businesses that we have, and the number of like rental property, and people that want to spend time with us, and then we have to do coaching calls, and not have to. We choose to do coaching calls. We choose to do coaching calls. We run all of our marketing for our businesses, the part that we don't outsource. We do all that, and yet at the end of the day, just because it drives me so insane, and also again, like I wasn't raised in I got the good fortune to not be raised where I saw that. Like we don't say that we're too busy. We sometimes choose not to do something, but we are not too busy, and I make sure that we never have that sense of like, oh my gosh, I'm too busy, I'm too busy,
Yeah.
I'm too busy.
And I think the thing is when you're telling yourself I'm too busy, you become too busy. Like you subconsciously create so much going on in your life because that's what you're constantly telling yourself. And we're going to go into what positive thinking and the different videos, and do positive thinking, and you're going to learn that what you focus on is what you attract. So if you are constantly thinking, I'm so busy, I never have enough time, then most likely that's true. But if you create a mindset that says, I have all the time I need to accomplish what I want to accomplish, then it's going to have a completely different effect on your mindset and a completely different effect on your life. So really, this is just part of identifying those beliefs that are holding you back, so you can create thoughts and beliefs that create the life that you want.
Absolutely.
Number 6, what are my current values? Place your top 10 values in order from most important to least important. So in this step, you're going to want to kind of brainstorm and figure out what are the things that you value the most. A couple of examples might be family, it might be your time, it might be vacations, your health, growth, education, giving back, adventure, fun, having a high status in life. You might value hard work. There's a lot of different things. You might value faith, but you want to sit down and write down what you value currently and in what order. So from highest to least. And then what we're going to go into next is how to create new empowering beliefs. So now that you've identified what beliefs are holding you back, you can create new ones that are actually going to empower you and help you reach your goals.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
These basically sort of correspond to the first questions that we went over.
Yeah, so the first one is, what rules can I let go of, and what new rules can I implement that will help me achieve my dreams and goals? So reference the rules that you wrote down in question number 1 above, that you want to maybe let go of some of those, and then create new ones that are going to actually empower you and help you achieve what you're wanting to do.
I think on that one, when you think about the rules that you have now and looking at the rules that you potentially might want to change or how you want to change those, you just want to look at the rules and sort of hold them up and see, are these empowering me? Are they moving me towards my objective? Or are they holding me back?
Mm-hmm. So we'll just go run through one with you. Let's see. Oh, there's one I didn't even say earlier. I have to have the latest and greatest equipment to charge higher prices in my photography business. So this is not necessarily true, but if you believe it to be true, then it will be. But this is a rule that you can look at, identify, and change. So maybe we're going to let go of that rule, and the new rule is going to be I have everything that I need to create the most gorgeous images, and I can charge whatever I want for them.
And I also think on that one, another way that you could look at it when you hold up that rule and analyze whether or not it's true is, are people paying to look at your photography equipment and see how cool it is, or are they paying for an experience and the most beautiful images that they've ever seen of themselves?
Yeah, because a true artist understands composition and lighting, and it's not necessarily about the latest and greatest equipment. If you have some natural light and you know when and where to use it, and even with an iPhone you can take some amazing pictures. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a $3,000 camera.
Like, who was it that painted the Sistine Chapel? Michelangelo? I've never seen an article on what paintbrushes he used, but everybody likes the painting.
Right, that's true. Yep. So if you guys have questions about any of these, or you need help going through them, hop in the group for sure. These are some pretty in-depth questions, and you're really gonna have to do some soul searching and some thinking, and it might be a little uncomfortable for you at first, but I promise it's a really great exercise to do. But if you want some help with it, just definitely reach out. Number 2 of creating new beliefs. What positive thoughts can I use to describe myself to make me feel good and support my goals? So examples would be, I am amazing, I can do anything I put my mind to, I am enough, I have everything that I need to be successful, I am in control of my life, and I have the power to change myself. So write down some things that, could be some positive thoughts that you can replace those pessimistic thoughts with, that will actually help empower you and help you reach your goals. Number 3, I have look for a list of positive beliefs on the internet. Do any of those beliefs resonate with you? And choose some new positive beliefs to replace the ones that are limiting you. I have a link here to a list of 100 positive beliefs and affirmations that you can kind of look through and get some ideas from. Number 4, rather than focusing on my failures, what are 3 examples of where I succeeded at something that disproves my limiting beliefs? So when we fail, if you will, or something doesn't go the way that we had imagined, we tend to focus on that versus focusing on the things that actually went the way that we wanted them to. And then the belief that actually gets stuck in our brains is the one that comes from the failure or the thing that didn't happen the way we wanted to, way more than the belief that you succeeded and that you did something right. So in this instance, in this number 4 question, what are 3 examples of a time when things did go right? And you can take that belief and replace the negative one.
I think that one is so completely, utterly important. That may be the most important thing that you guys do, is because as human beings, it's so easy to get focused on the failure, because here's the reality, guys, is that you're going to have way more failure than you're going to have successes. It's the way that life works. To illustrate that point, lions, when they're hunting, they only actually successfully catch something to eat like 17 or 18 or 19, something like that percent of the time. So 80% of the time, the lion is chasing something and he never catches it and he doesn't get to eat. And yet, as human beings, right? Well, coming back to the lion, does that mean that the lion never goes and tries to hunt another gazelle or whatever it is that lions eat? No, it just goes and does it again, and 20% of the time it's achieving the results. It doesn't focus on the 80% of the time where it didn't catch something.
Yeah.
It goes and it hunts again. And yet, as human beings, we, maybe because our brain is a little more developed or whatever, we get focused on that 80%, and now we start holding ourselves back from going and trying again, from going and hunting again, from going and pursuing that thing that we really, really want. We hold ourselves back because it's just nature that you're going to fail quite a few times, but you can't focus on that failure.
I think too, this idea of success is interesting. We probably should do a video in the future about that, but life is about learning, and it's a journey, and there's not like this end point of success that you get to. It is just always improving, always learning, and always growing. So definitely write down some examples of what you can focus on as to when you succeeded and to when you actually accomplished what you wanted to, and kind of hold on to those beliefs, those positive beliefs, rather than the limiting ones. Number 5, what life philosophies, beliefs can I create, adopt to replace the past negative beliefs I may have picked up from my childhood or past experiences that will support and help me reach my goals? So in the previous question above, we talked about you defining and figuring out what beliefs that you might have adopted in your childhood. And then this one, we want you to create new beliefs that can replace those. So for example, one of the ones above was, I never have enough time. So you can flip that and say, I have all the time that I need to accomplish what I want. So part of adopting that, how to implement it, is to prioritize what you want to accomplish in a day. So instead of trying to accomplish way too much, then you prioritize, and then guess what? You have enough time to accomplish what you want to. So
yeah, I think that's, and everything is neither bad nor good. In fact, I think you could have the worst parents on the planet, and there's something that they gave you, which is, if nothing else, they probably gave you an example of what you shouldn't do, or how you shouldn't be. So the reality is just that what we want you to do is we want you to go through and see where these things are affecting you positively and negatively, and the ones that are negative, like this idea that maybe if you are one of those people that always feels like, oh, I never have enough time, and that's what you say when people invite you to do things, oh, I don't have enough time, or I'm too busy. Now you can start changing your mindset where you go, you know what, hey, because I watched the other videos in week 6, I have everything planned out, and you know what, I actually do have an hour that I could go do this if I choose to. And then you see, is that what you really, really want? But sometimes I think all of this is just a fallback for people to make excuses instead of have integrity with their communication about what they do and don't want.
Well, I think you made a good point too. Is the beliefs that you brought from your childhood aren't all bad.
Right.
They aren't all negative, but there are definitely times when we adopt negative things from people closest to us. So I think that's kind of why we have that question. But there are probably some really great beliefs that you brought with you from your childhood as well.
So shrink the bad ones, blow up the positive ones.
Okay, so number 6, what do my values need to be in order to achieve the destiny I desire and deserve? So above, we had you outline your values and place them in the order, the top 10, in the order from most important to least important. So now that you kind of have gone through your beliefs and everything, I want you to sit down and see if you need to add some beliefs, take some beliefs away, and reorder, or I should say values. Take some values away, add some values, or reorder how you have your values in order to align them with achieving your goals and dreams.
Yeah. So often when people are struggling or they feel a sense of struggle, it's because they want X, but they have why, or they have rules, or they have values, or they have actions that they're just sort of ingrained in them that they take that are going to get them Y outcome. And so they're not in congruency between what they really, really want, like not like want here, but like want in here in their heart, like what they truly, truly desire, and yet these other things that are impacting getting there. And so there's a lack of congruency in the movement between the two things towards the objective that they really want. That's going to like make them light up and have
I
passion.
have a kind of an example. And you're going to have to do like some soul searching and figuring out what's true for you. But perhaps when trying to do your photography business, you actually value time with your kids more than you value income. And that may mean that instead of doing a full-time photography business, you're going to do a part-time photography business. And you can make as much money as you want from a part-time, photography business. You don't have to have a full-time business in order to make X. You get to decide. So that's the power of positive thinking, the power of creating your own beliefs, is you can create a life however you want. But this way, when you figure out what you value most, like you said, if spending time with your family and your kids, or being a stay-at-home mom, or being home at a certain time with your kids is more important, is a higher, you value that higher than your photography business, but you're trying to do your photography business, but in your heart you value this more, then what you're doing is you're conflicting, and you're never going to get either.
Especially if you compound that with the fact that maybe you believe that in order to have a successful photography business, you have to work 40 hours a week on your photography business, or 20 hours or 30 hours. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, you feel like in order to have be a successful mom or dad or family, you have to have this many hours spent over here.
Or
now those things start just running into each other, and you end up with overwhelmed, stress,
disappointment.
And because most people don't think about that, they can't actually come up with a plan that they can execute to
achieve everything.
Bring harmony mm-hmm. to having what it is that they want in the ways that they actually want it.
Yeah, creating a life that you love. So all of these things go together, like beliefs, values, identifying what you truly want your life to look like. And as you do it, you'll kind of understand. Let's see, number 7, think of a person who has already achieved your desired goal. What attitudes, ways of thinking, what mindset do they adopt in order to be the successful person they are? So, how do they find that out?
No. So, essentially, I would say this is almost like having a mentor, but asking the mentor. You can ask in the group, you could ask us as well. But if you're struggling with something, somebody else has struggled with it before. Mm-hmm. And probably somebody in the same field. If you're struggling with something now in your business, there's a good chance that Law has already struggled with it. Or somebody else in one of the groups has already struggled with it. So you could ask Law, or you could ask in the group, you can ask us and kind of find out, hey, I'm going through this. How did you guys find a way to overcome it? And then that way you're basically going to be able to create a new knowledge around what's going on, and perhaps let go of some of the beliefs that were getting you fired up. Because like the last question, usually when you're having some turmoil about something like that, the reason why is because you're having two things that are colliding with each other. Another way is if you're lost in the forest, it's really, really hard to find your way out. But if you have somebody who's already who can see the whole forest above you, then they can help you get out. Or if they've been in the same forest, maybe they can draw you a map, or they can tell you how they got out of the forest. And so that's kind of what this question has to do with, is
having somebody help you so that you can let go of that negative emotion and get through it.
Yeah.
I would say, for sure. Okay, so now that you've done all that, I'm going to give you a 10-day challenge, 10 days of positive thinking challenge. So I want you to make a commitment to yourself that for the next 10 days, you are not going to indulge in or entertain any negative thoughts or disempowering beliefs or negative emotions. So I have a little commitment letter, if you will, that says, I, so and so, am committing the next 10 days to improving my thoughts, beliefs, and mindset. I will not indulge in negative thoughts or emotions, but only acknowledge them briefly so that I can replace them with positive affirmations, positive beliefs, and thoughts that will help me create a positive mindset that will not only help me reach my dreams and goals, but positively affect everyone around me. And then you get to sign and date it. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I mean, we can go into all the parts of this, but that really summed it up. I think the thing about this is, what this boils down to is, this is about letting your light shine. It's literally, you meet those people and they just have this spirit and they have this sense and their eyes twinkle and you just see these people. These are people that are coming from a place of gratitude. They're coming from a place where they are focusing only on all of the positive, amazing, phenomenal, crazy awesome shit that this life has to offer, and it's not that bad stuff isn't happening, it's just they're not acknowledging the bad stuff, or they're spending very little time with acknowledging it,
or they're looking for the rainbow, the silver lining.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that you'll know when you're around a negative person. It's not fun to be around someone who's always focused on the negative and always talking negatively. So you want to be that person that their light is shining bright so that other people are happy and they're positive, and you set a good example of how you can have an amazing life. So this may sound easy, this challenge, but you might be surprised how many times that you're going to catch yourself thinking negatively.
Take the subconscious and make it conscious.
So, for the next 10 days, the goal is to create discipline and new habits and of being aware of what your thoughts are so that you can change them and change your mindset and, change from negative to positive. It's all about mastering your mental and emotional well-being so that you can live a life that you want and one that you deserve. So there's a couple of rules you can go over and look at that I made. So if you slip up, don't worry. Get back on track. It's normal. Like I said earlier, this is a journey. This is not something you're going to be perfect at in 10 days. It's not something you're going to be perfect at probably in a year. But as long as you're always trying and being conscious of your thoughts and changing them from negative to positive and being aware, then that's the goal. The goal is just to be aware so that you can make the changes that you want. So if you guys have any questions or need any help, definitely hop in the group and we will help you however we can.